Hello, everybody, and welcome to Argent Live. I'm here with my co-host, Nazbol Gang, who's here to bring the capitalist imperialist pigs to their knees.
Gang, rise up.
And as always, a link to his channel is down in the description, as is a link to my book. If you'd like to support me in the channel. Oh, okay, I see your new image is working now.
It is wonderful.
It's kind of bad quality, but it worked. So you're not a Hapa wife. No, you're not a.
I'm Envar Hoja.
Mm-hmm. Was he the dictator of Albania?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So we actually have a topic. We'll see how long we stay on it. So we were talking the other day just on Discord about how like a whole bunch of video game genres have just kind of vanished over the last, not even the last decade, but the last couple of years.
I would say like the decade. Like I would say when you get to Xbox 360 and PS3, the kind of like game genres just kind of start going extinct.
Maybe yeah, pretty much all. Sorry?
Maybe you thought the occurrences began sooner than that. It seems like around 2007, 2008 to where you get to where people know what to program for Xbox 360 and PS3, that it becomes apparent that the cost of programming these games, especially if graphics and voiceovers, has become so much that they start just abandoning genres and certain, like, because the thing is that there's no new IPs and everything. So you get to where, I mean, like Silent Hill is done. Silent Hill is one of the most influential game series and all, and it's.
And if they were gonna redo it, they'd make it like
first person shooter.
No, they'd make it like a third person, like beat 'em up, like Bayonetta style game. If they're gonna remake it. Like, because it's weird because I don't know if it's just there's not a middle anymore, because you do have a lot of indie games and then you have a lot of AAA stuff, and it doesn't seem like there's really anything in between.
A game company that used to be in between is who makes Dark Souls again?
FromSoft?
Yeah, FromSoft is definitely a good one to point out of the middle, but they're AAA now, aren't they?
They just haven't made much anymore.
A lot of the Eastern European game developers are kind of in the middle too for how much they spend.
Like Metro, yeah, 2033.
Yeah. Do you want to get into, because there's competing series? Should we talk about what?
Let's just talk about a couple. Let's just talk about some genres, and then we'll get into theories.
So
survival horror is basically
survival horror. Yeah. Survival horror. I mean, you could point to Resident Evil, and then Dead Space games.
You're really lagging there.
Oh, it's because I'm in. Well, how bad am I lagging?
Pretty bad.
Shit.
Oh, there you go. You're a bit better. Okay.
Is it better now, or should I move to a different part of my house?
We'll just try that for a minute or two. Okay. But yeah, like survival horror just isn't really a thing anymore. Like, there's a couple indie games, but there's very little in the way of it. I think Outlast and Outlast 2 are like a couple ones we have. Resident Evil just became a third-person action game.
And it's funny because I was going to say that about Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is very like in between survival horror and like straight up third person action. But as the game went on, I mean, Resident Evil 5 and 6 are basically Gears of War. And then the Resident Evil.
I really like Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece.
Yes, Resident Evil 4 is just one of the. I'm not saying it's bad that they abandoned the formula, but it's just kind of points towards the future. Because I mean, there's no more Dino Crisis, there's no more Silent Hill, there's no more Disaster Report. All these like Siren, all these survival horror games that kind of. There's no more games like that. There's no more. I mean,
Alone in the Dark.
From Alone in the Dark obviously is a fixed stone. You can complain about the camera angle and tank controls and all that, but I think that's kind of intrinsic to the genre.
No, but I think you could fix some of that. Like that's kind of a cop out to say that's the issue. Let's see here. Even like a lot of horror themed FPSs aren't really like BioShock is done. Oh, Castlevania is dead now. They finally killed that.
Is it officially dead, or is it God of War Castlevania?
It's just God of War Castlevania, and they don't really make them anymore. The last one they made was 2014, and people hated it so much they haven't made anymore. But yeah, they stopped making. To be fair, the Castlevania games were like RPGs, but they were kind of unique, like to be Metroidvania RPGs. So they stopped making those too. I'm just looking through a list. Let's see. Clock Tower, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, Clock Tower is a major series. You get Clock Tower, Alone in the Dark, Disaster Report, Ill Bleed. All those fixed camera and it causes this anxiety stuff, all that's gone. Now it's just walking simulators and first-person shooters with horror elements.
Would you consider Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem to be a survival horror game?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. Is Fatal Frame done? Yeah, I think Fatal Frame's
done for a long time.
Fear is not a survival horror game, but it's done. There's Five Nights at Freddy's.
I never even played it. I'm not.
It's shit. I fucking hate Five Nights at Freddy's. But yeah, all they have is first person shooters with like mild horror themes. Like I'd say the Metro series is probably the closest thing we've had.
Well, again, it's kind of a lower end and going towards the indie tier.
Right.
Chernobyl, Stalker.
Yeah.
That's a first-person shooter, though.
Yeah, and Stalker, to be fair, is kind of like it's kind of old now. Like it's the last one was 2009, so it's aged a lot. Not that it's not good. It's just it's kind of another example. Resident Evil 6 was just kind of a clusterfuck.
I like Resident Evil 6.
No, it's okay. My issue is they took the RPG elements out, so I really like the RPG elements.
Yeah. Evil 6. I mean, like, go back in.
Sorry. Could you try moving? Just because I can't really hear you.
Yeah, there could. I might have to go muted though. I might have to.
Okay.
That's points.
Okay.
But.
Yeah, so it's just a genre that doesn't really exist anymore. Horror is just in general kind of died. What are kind of some other ones that are dead? Western RPGs have really kind of died a slow death. Like we're never going to see something like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines again.
You're never going to see. So you're never going to see something like the original Fallout series. And it's like has to be Elder Scrolls RPG if that's even an RPG.
I like New Vegas a lot.
Well, no, I mean like you're never going to have a top-down perspective or a roll or turn-based again.
No, there's Divinity Eternal Sins, which is that.
Is that an indie game though?
I don't know if Divinity is an indie game or not. But that's the one I can think of. But no, like that's like I think Bethesda, like because there's a couple of companies I think we have to call out for ruining genres. Bethesda ruined that genre, whatever you want to call it.
Well, as this guy's saying in the chat, the only games there's left are third-person open-world games and first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Something that you and me both hold very dear is the RTS genre.
Yeah.
I mean, you think the EA is responsible for killing it?
I think they didn't help. I think it was them, and I also blame Blizzard to a certain extent. My issue is I didn't like how it just became entirely competitive based. Because I really like, because like when I got Command and Conquer, I like the cheesy cutscenes and the lore and the music and the weirdness. I didn't play it like online, and I feel like there's a massive move way towards multiplayer. I think kind of like forced. That's another trend. Have you noticed where they just force multiplayer on everyone?
Yeah, multiplayer is the only game type. And
yeah, do you think that's because there's more women who play video games now?
You think women are attracted to multiplayer more than men?
Yeah.
I think that it has to do with the demand for actual like Hollywood actors as voice actors. And that means it's cheaper to do multiplayer at this point. Because something that has escalated that people don't realize outside of graphics and the need to have everything be open world, something that makes games to be a lot more expensive is voice acting.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that most of the reason why they're so big now? Like why the sizes are huge?
What do you mean?
Why the sizes of like, as if you download like, I forget what game it was I got. I think it was Battlefield 1 maybe. Was like 80 gigs.
Huh. I never even played a Battlefield game since like 2142. I remember liking that a lot, but how are those newer ones?
Guilty Spark is saying some open world games are good. I like Far Cry 5.
I'm not against open world games, but
no, that's okay. I just like to say, no, the issue is they just make everything that, even if they have no like reason to be like that. Like the Far Cry games are supposed to be open world, like they're based on like running around, blowing shit up, being a commando, things like that. Like that's what they're based on. Whereas they just make everything fucking open world and throw in like bad RPG elements, or they make first person shooters. I feel like first person shooters though are dying though.
I feel like first person shooters are so stagnant because of their basis on multiplayer. It's very hard to
that and they're out of wars.
Well, okay, first I would say Serious Sam, I don't know if this counts as indie. I'm gonna make myself a 30-year-old boomer. Quake was a great game. Prior to I like the genre of first person shooters before Call of Duty 4. And I feel like it declined and everything is Call of Duty 4. Every single game is Call of Duty Black Ops. Halo and Battlefield are just rip-offs of Call of Duty, and it's the same game every single year.
Halo 1 was really good.
Halo 1 is 2000. I'm post 2007.
Oh, yeah.
Call of Duty 4 was 2007. Halo 1, yeah. I mean, Halo 1 would be on the other side, and Half-Life 2 would be on the other side. But again, then very bad RPG elements, basis solely on multiplayer.
Oh, and loot boxes. I think the issue with the RPG genre is they're out of wars because they won't do like any war that might be politically incorrect. So that limits them to
World War where you shoot non-whites.
Yeah, so you can't. So that limits it to like World War II. And
there's no. So a game that would be very fun would be Korea.
Yeah, we both want a Korean war game.
There's never been a first-person shooter based on Korea, which is hilarious to me. Because the Korean,
I think there's one Vietnam game.
There's a few Vietnam games, Battlefield Vietnam, and like.
That's the only one I can think of.
There's another one, but they're third-person shooters too. Anyway, They did, yeah.
But
Fox One, there is Viet Cong. They shoot the gooks in Black Cox 1. I wanted to talk more about RTSs. You only touched on. Did you want to talk about?
No, we were just going through the different stuff. Yeah, because I blame EA for killing Command and Conquer because there was no reason the series had to turn out that way. Like the whole thing is kind of complicated to go into, but basically what happened was when EA bought them, they shut down Westwood and they reorganized it as EALA, and they scrapped like all the plans they had for CNC3. So it was kind of in development hell for years. And then they just like threw some shit together last minute. And that was Command and Conquer 3 Tiberian Wars, which was one of the most disappointing things of my life. But then came CNC4, which is what ruined the series, which is literally what killed the series. CNC4 was like a Dota game. They turned it into like a Dota game with no base building that was multiplayer focused and had graphics worse than most mobile games. I don't know. I have to I've tried to do streams of CNC4 like to make fun of it, and I can't. It's so bad I can't even play it.
Well, I never
it's
even
one of the worst games.
Play it.
So that's good.
I guess
they seem to hate base building. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, well, no, that's kind of like the shift away from base building. I mean, we both love this game a lot, and we played it together as World in Conflict. And I'm sad that series is dead. Even though
but that at least the thing I like about that though is that's at least more balanced, if that makes sense. Like that's not entirely reliant on like micro and shit like that.
Well, I mean that's a game that had no base building whatsoever, and then kind of from that point on is kind of that anti-base building stuff. So there's basically just like whatever game the Total War series is going to put out, and then there's a company that makes Company of Heroes and Dawn of War. It's the same. Is it Relic Studios? Now they're going to make Age of Empires 4. Like, because Ensemble Studios is dead, and now Microsoft is trying to get Age of Empire 4 made, but they're going to try and do it through the studio that makes Company Heroes and Dawn of War. So there's literally only two AAA. There's like literally two RTS companies now.
And we can't ever have Empire at War 2 because Disney showed the extended universe. So Star Wars, which is literally like one of the most logical like properties to have RTS games, they can't make them anymore.
Yeah, in RTS, it's not like a first-person shooter where it's relegated to X war. There's every single war in human history you can use. There's a lot more sci-fi you can expand on too.
Yeah, sci-fi works really well. One of my issues, and I think Starcraft was ultimately really bad for the genre because I feel like it turned everything into just rushing and like micro. Like, because I always thought like that competitive Starcraft play was like cancer and was one of the worst things that like ever happened to the genre of video games. Like, I don't know if you get what I mean, but I just feel like it reduced the whole thing into how fast can you hit buttons.
I'm gonna sound like a heretic right now, but I was never a big Starcraft fan.
I like the lore and the plot. I wasn't like a huge fan of the gameplay. Like it's like I played them like I found I don't really like the gameplay of StarCraft 1. I just played it a lot for the story. But they kind of ruined that in StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 is like a shadow of its former self. I think there's also I think we can, and I'm gonna get Gamergate here from it. I think you can't underestimate how much political correctness like ruined video games, because like a lot of the edgy shit that they had in them, like you just never would have now. Like in Tiberian Sun, despite the game being teen rated, a guy gets his throat slit open graphically on screen, and they just wouldn't do something like that anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Does it seem like racing games have declined quite a bit?
Racing games are dead outside of Mario Kart and Forza. Are the only ones I can think of.
I guess they did
maybe
Need for Speed. I wasn't even aware that happened though.
Oh, they've stopped it?
No, I thought that Need for Speed was done, and I just looked it up, and there was one that came out last year, Payback.
Oh, Burnout. Okay, there's Burnout.
Burnout was what game series that I am a very big fan of that's extinct.
Oh, is it dead now?
Yeah, it's dead. It's been dead since Xbox 360.
Is it just me, or like have IPs been just falling like flies?
Yeah.
Like I feel like the number of IPs is rapidly decreasing.
Well, it seems like it's just like what ends up happening because of the cost of developing AAA games is that you have a designated game for that genre, and it's the only game series within the genre. So you literally only have Company of Heroes and Total War, and that's the whole RTS genre. And then for like racing, you have Mario Kart and Forza, and that's it. And then for like first-person shooters, it's just like Halo, Call of Duty,
and Battlefront.
Yeah. And then for platformers, it's Sonic and Mario, and that's it.
And Sonic has just degenerated into the mass-producing crap.
No, the 2D Sonic game, but that's technically an indie game, is incredible.
Okay, Guilty Spear brings up Guilty Spark brings up the thing we were talking about the other day with F-Zero.
F-Zero is one of my favorite game genres. Yeah, F-Zero F-Zero X is one of my favorite games ever.
Like there's a whole bunch of like IPs that were developed for the GameCube that never went anywhere. Like Beautiful Joe. We've never gotten a second Okami game. We've never gotten another. I guess we're getting a No More Heroes 3. Custom Robo. We never got another Custom Robo game. I'm trying to think. There's like a big list I had. Okay, let me just look at this. Oh, Paper Mario. They killed Paper Mario. Now we just have like shitty pseudo Paper Mario. Star Fox they've basically killed. Skies of Arcadia Legends never got a sequel. Yeah, I just feel like Nintendo's number of IPs just keeps decreasing, and they occasionally replace it with garbage.
Is it me? Do you think fighting games, maybe not as precipitous as racing games or survival horror, but fighting games are kind of like not. It's like Street Fighter and then Mortal Kombat and then Super Smash.
No, and then there's the shitty NetherRealm games like Injustice, and I forget there's like a whole bunch of them, and they're all just really shitty. Oh yeah, Scudum points out Metroid, like and how good Metroid Prime 1 is one of the greatest games of all.
Is there a Wii U Metroid?
I think they just ported it.
3DS. So there hasn't been one since Metroid 3, or
yeah. They did a remake, which I thought was shitty, of the Super NES one.
Oh, I never.
It's really shitty.
Okay, I think
my issue with it is it doesn't have remappable controls, and
is that other M? Is that Other M?
No, Other M is
good.
no. Okay, no, they made Other M, and Other M was shit.
You don't like Other M?
Why did you like Other M?
Yeah, I liked Other M, but I only played it for like half an hour. Like I only played like the first half hour, and then I did something else. Maybe it's shit. I guess Metroid Prime Federation Force, whatever the fuck that is. You have a 3DS. Did you ever try that?
Oh, why would I try that? It's a fucking abomination.
Oh, okay.
Oh, why? Did you think it looked good?
No, I didn't even know it existed.
No, just look at a screenshot and you'll see why I'm just so dismissive of it. It's literally, you know, like, do you remember those like old Gundam Super Deformed? Like where it was the head was like half the size of the body? That's basically what it is. Also, Metroid doesn't have any lore, really, so... Or at least the Federation. Oh, are you looking at it?
Why is it so shitty looking?
I don't know! Why couldn't they just make another Metroid game?
You know what I really hate, too?
What?
Maybe I'm stealing from Ryan Falk when he talked about Sonic, but he described corporate... Well, I'm Nazbol gang, but he described the concept of, like, corporate decisions. So it's like corporate decision making at Nintendo. It's like we must never make more 2D game, never make more Zelda game or Metroid game be 2D. Bad decision making.
No, well, they just like their Metroid games are ass. Why did they have to make it? Why did we need Dark Samus? Dark Samus is literally like the fucking lamest shit ever. Like, okay, can you think of anything less creative than having like an evil version of the character that's just like black and is called like Dark or Shadow or something?
What? Oh yeah, like the lowest.
Can you think
the lowest?
Like, can you think of anything less creative than that?
No. I don't know. Maybe having like some kind of like blatant Darth Vader ripoff.
Okay, so the thing with so someone points out Dark Link. Yeah, but Dark Link in Ocarina of Time at least is just a mini boss. And the whole like that whole area is just supposed to be really surreal. So that's fine. I'm saying like what if they did that in Adventures of Link, but if Dark Link was like the main villain, then that would be fucking lame. Which I feel like there's some game that did that recently. I don't know. Anyways, shut up. Shadow is a cool and edgy hedgehog. Yeah. What the fuck was that about? Did you ever play Shadow the Hedgehog?
Shadow the Hedgehog's not that bad, and now it's just like extreme autism. Like I'm going to get rocks thrown at me and put in a fucking like concentration camp for autism. But Shadow the Hedgehog's not that bad.
My issue with Shadow the Hedgehog is just that it's kind of counterintuitive because you have to stop so much.
Well, why
don't know.
Why does Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever the fuck it's called, the Black Sonic, why does he have guns? Why does that franchise need guns?
It's fucking edgy.
Oh, okay.
Because he's the black hedgehog who wears the bling and has guns and rides motorcycles.
Don't you tell me that the Japanese love the dark thing. I don't want freaking their Zambos or whatever to happen. That's scary.
But
Half Black Miss Japan is the scariest Miss Japan.
But yeah, that was, I don't know why the worst video game I've ever played, and you can put this on fucking record. The worst video game I ever played is Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Oh, I never play. Good. I don't have. I'm not. The only Sonic games I ever played that are 3D. I played Shadow and I played like Sonic Adventure. So obviously I'm dated here.
Have you played Sonic Adventure 2?
No, well, I've watched my friend play it a lot, and then I played the multiplayer with him, but I haven't played through it.
Multiplayer is really good in that game.
Yeah, that's a good ass game.
Like
isn't
they
that
just
in your
so
top
much.
10 list, or is that your
Yeah.
favorite?
It's in my top 10.
Okay.
I actually didn't think the plot was that bad, even though you. Okay, because you did have like an evil, well, not necessarily an evil version of Sonic, but that wasn't like the focal point that he was. Like Shadow has his own like backstory that's actually pretty in depth. That's not even like that's not related to Sonic at all.
God, I'm gonna show my autism so hard, but the Sonic Adventure games and the story from Sonic is actually kind of good.
Yeah, like I like the whole like space colony arc, and then like Robotnik's grandfather, and then like I don't know, it was at least they tried. At least they had like they made an attempt to have a story. But now they just don't anymore. I don't know what kind of shit they put out. Sonic Boom. I have to play Sonic Boom sometime.
Okay, is there any other genres, or are we just fucking spurging out right now?
Western RPGs.
Well, yeah, we talked about it. So, vehicle like simulators that are so like flight simulators, anything like that is freaking dead as dead.
Oh yeah, there aren't even like I was gonna say like sci-fi ones or like soft flight simulators. Like something like have you played Robotech Battlecry?
No, but I mean like Ace Combat's extinct, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't make anything anymore. Oh, Squishface points out action platformers.
Oh yes, absolutely. Third platformers is a major thing are dead. It's just Sonic and Mario, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh no, we did mention that. Did you ever play Psychonauts?
I have Psychonauts, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, that's like the last.
I played like 60-70% through Brutal Legend. I really like
How
that
is
game.
Brutal Legend?
It's a very good game. Isn't Judas Priest your favorite band?
Yeah.
You seem to be a lot less interested in music than me, but I again exploring my autism here. Heavy metal is my favorite genre. If you like heavy metal, then Brutal Legend is the action platformer for you.
Isn't it? Doesn't it also have RTS elements?
It has mild, very mild RTS elements.
Right.
That's a really good game, but that's like the last game that what's his face ever made, isn't it?
Tim Schafer still makes like other stuff.
Oh, okay. So is Stealth dead?
Sorry?
Is Stealth dead?
Like, what do you mean by stealth? Like something like Thief? Or like the older MGS games?
Older MGM, Splinter Cell, I don't know. It wasn't this thing that I played that many of.
No, I think those are dead. I think Splinter Cell's done. Splinter Cell just kind of it's funny because the one I liked was Conviction, which was the one that was the least like Splinter Cell, which is probably why I liked it the most. Because it had the it was the most just actiony. I guess there's kind of there's games where stealth is kind of viable, like Deus Ex. But I don't think they're gonna make a Deus Ex 3.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one to talk about is rhythm games are extinct. Not just there's non-periphery rhythm games too.
Most of the remaining rhythm games are like something like Audio Surf.
I mean, they don't make games like was it Space Channel 5? Space Channel 5 isn't a game they make anymore. Not that I'm too white to play that. White pride worldwide, but I'm not white and I'm too white. I can't play that game. I'm shit at it. I have to sit back and watch the story when my black friend plays it.
That's very true. Yeah, so that's dead. Oh no, you know what's another genre they have? Shitty fucking MMO World of Warcraft clones.
Oh, I never played World of Warcraft clones.
Did you ever play the Old Republic?
No.
Okay, the Old Republic was legitimately good.
They don't
it's
really.
Because what happened with
So they don't have puzzle games, really, do they?
No, puzzle's dead. That's another genre that doesn't exist anymore.
God, you know what?
Oh, no, the last rhythm games I think were like Elite Beat Agents.
You know what, like genre or what game series, which is like puzzle and mixed together platformer, is Katamari. That is like one of my favorite game series ever. That's dead.
Because it's body horror?
Yeah, because it's body horror, so I like it. Is it body? Oh, I guess, yeah, you pick up the people and they're screaming when you pick them up.
Yeah.
About that.
That's why you like it.
You know.
Well, no, I mean your body is like your character is literally composed of like the corpses of like thousands of people. But yeah, it's just a lot of shit. Part of the issue is EA will just buy companies, and as soon as EA buys a company, they just loot it and they pump a whole bunch of money in, they fire everybody, and they just run the IP into the ground. They've released a new Command and Conquer game, and it's a shitty fucking mobile game.
That doesn't count.
But like mobile games aren't always even that bad. Like they released a Shin Megami Tensei one, which I actually really like, and they released a Fire Emblem one. But then again, those make a lot more sense as a mobile game. It's stuck in my head now.
You're welcome. Another game genre that's extinct is non-licensed sports games, which are non-realistic. Right. So games like NBA Jam or Blitz the League. RIP. F. Done.
What's Blitz the League?
Blitz the League is like a non-licensed football game where it's like really violent. So whenever somebody gets into they break a bone, it shows you how their bones are broken, like Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat style. It like zooms in on their broken bones.
Yeah, don't they only have? There's only a couple franchises. There's FIFA, the NBA. There's like the ones they release every year, and those are like the only sports games.
I think that we should just rename this battle or this episode just like instead of mass extinction of game genres, Argent and Nazbol gang show off their autism.
Fuck you, EA.
Do you want to talk about the reasons of this happening outside of EA?
Oh yeah, sure.
Property.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Good time to transition.
So, from my understanding, as graphics get more and more intense, it's kind of like an arms race of escalation. Games take longer and longer to develop, and so much more sunk costs that you don't want to put a game out of a series. You don't want to create a new series, and B, you don't. So all games are sequels or remakes, and B, you don't want anything that's in a niche genre because of the amount that you put in as a sunk cost for it to fail could cause your company to be done.
Right.
I mean, there's also, we talked about voiceover in games. And when you have open world games where it's gravitated to open world third person games, then you have 80 gigabytes worth of like sound in there.
Yeah, which could actually eventually kill It'd be funny if it killed PC gaming and it made like consoles big again, because it just the games are so fucking big, like they just kill your computer. I remember that's what happened with John Woo's game, Stranglehold. It became like known as the most aptly named game of all time because it brought quad cores to their knees. Oh, someone's talking about Overwatch. Once they made a certain announcement, I actually uninstalled it and I have never played Overwatch again. Do you know what happened with Overwatch?
No, I don't know anything about Overwatch.
Oh, they announced one of the characters, Tracer, is a lesbian, and I immediately uninstalled it. And I've never gone back to it. Yeah.
Electronic card games is like long dead, dude. Squash face. It's extinct.
It's sad because they used to put out a Magic the Gathering game every year. And I liked all of them, and I thought they were really good. But they don't put those out anymore.
So, I mean, anything else why the genre is dying, or is?
I think it's partially, and I don't want to. I'm gonna do the fucking normie thing. They just need to appeal to as many people as possible.
Do you think that has to do with women becoming gamers?
I think it's because of women. I think it is.
Do you think that women are less prone to try new things so that they play the same genre over and over again?
Yeah, I think they also probably just don't like a lot of the things that like males do. Because I don't know, like JRPGs have not declined, I don't think. If anything, there's more JRPGs than there were before. Because women like
kind of misdemeanor this, or like say that Japan is somewhat immune to this. A lot of this is kind of the United States-based developers that are suffering, and then European and Japanese are suffering as well, but not to the extreme degree.
Well, the thing is, JRPGs are kind of one of the few game genres that both men and women play, probably about an equal amounts. And women kind of like JRPGs as they are, so they haven't kind of been destroyed in the same way that some other genres have been. At least I think that's how. But is Waffles glaring at you?
No, why did you hear him?
No, just because you're saying Katamari.
One time I listened to Korn. I went back to my years of being a 7th grader and I decided to listen to Korn. And he got so angry at me. He just like walked up to me, meowed as loud as he could, and then ran away and wouldn't like interact with me for like days.
Just if people are wondering what we're talking about, Nazbol Gang is a cat named Waffles, who's
he's probably a Himalayan. I bought him as a ragdoll, but he's probably a Himalayan.
Who's like the most like overly like super friendly.
To me alone, though.
Isn't he? Is he really big?
No, he's smaller than the average cat, probably.
He's just very fluffy.
Yeah. Korn is fucking gay as shit. Except for the song where they say "you're a faggot" over and over again. I like that song because it's
funny. So yeah, just trying to appeal to as many people as possible. I also feel like one of the things you get in late stage capitalism is the attempt to try to like, once companies have reached a certain level of profitability, their goal is to make barriers to entry higher as opposed to making more money. Mm-hmm. So I feel that's to a certain extent what's happening with the video game industry is they just there's like
the thing is that have you ever like you ever had somebody that's like, I won't play a black and white movie? Or I
Yeah.
won't watch a black and white movie or something like that? That's a problem with graphics, and the graphics then create a barrier to entry for new
Right.
and smaller developers.
Mm-hmm. No, that does make it that is like a difficult thing to overcome. You're right. But what was I thinking of? Yeah, but like that's something I think people don't. Sorry, I'm going to go normie conservative here for a minute. That people don't really get is when it comes to things like environmental regulations, etc. Most of those are pushed by big business because basically they can afford to pay any amount of regulation. Like
Don't
it's
they
not going to
like
hurt
just
them.
pay fines, and the other companies aren't able to pay fines?
Yeah, they're able to do that. I mean, if you look at it, most like really big companies will have huge like departments that just deal with regulations and laws, whereas smaller businesses can't afford that. So they just are it's trying to restrict barriers to entry. And I feel like the video game industry, like a lot of things, has kind of become like that. Now it's changing a bit because things like Greenlight and in Steam has made it a lot easier to like get into the industry if you're an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a very difficult road.
I think the
Like
problem we're forgetting is that because of the nicheness, SJWs have affected Steam indie games far more than they have mainstream games.
yeah, that's
No
probably
or
true.
not. I think that those games are more prone to have black lesbians in them.
Yeah, but at the same time you do have like I forget how many Trump games there are on Steam.
Oh yeah. Did
There's
you ever
like
try to
okay.
play Depression Quest? Didn't you
What?
stream Depression Quest at some point?
No, I did a complete LP. I have to redo it because the music was like too loud and it fucked it up. But yeah, I did the entire Depression Crest.
How did that go for you?
I didn't think it was that bad. Okay, so let's see here. Trump games. Make America Great Again, the Trump presidency. Trump VR simulator. Lock her up, the Trump supremacy. President Trump, the way in Uganda. Putin run away from Trump. Super President of the United States. World War. Holy fuck! There's like hundreds of Trump games. Okay, so you do occasionally get stuff like that, and then you get things like Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is an indie game. So it's changed a bit, but it's the problem with most tech industries, and this is the big issue with YouTube, is because a lot of people, and I worry about this, like what happens when they just shut everybody down. So I feel like that's eventually going to just happen. And it's like we need to go someplace else, but it's the nature of tech companies make it a natural monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really have
that's the thing that where it's like if you want to play a platformer, it's Mario or Sonic, and that's it.
mm-hmm.
You think that it creates a natural monopoly, so you just have one series of games, or do you think that games because games have this thing to where they're both a software and they create a natural monopoly, and they're a form of or a form of art, a form of expression. So they're like a movie or a book at the same time. So it's this weird kind of dichotomy within video games.
Yeah, they're a very strange case, I guess you could say, compared to a lot of other shot. Like I was when I first started to kind of think of them in terms of like as an art form or as a media form, I was never really sure like what they were more similar to. Like were they more similar to books or to movies or to TV shows, or they're very much kind of their own thing, which is interesting. But no, like do you think there's going to be another like video game crash?
Like so I don't So I don't follow games that much because it kind of like maybe it's because I'm a fucking 30-year-old boomer or something, but I mean I just kind of play my old PS2 games and I just get new used PS2 games and I just play those. So I don't pay any attention to video game news. I know that with movie studios, they have a problem to where once those superhero movies don't make any money, if you have two superhero movies that don't make any money in a row, your company will go bust. So maybe AAA games
cost so much.
Because they cost so much that if they bring in 100 million instead of 800 million, one of them does, then that's it. Like two of them in a row, you're done. Because the entire studio is paid off of the superhero movies returns. And superhero movies, of course, will eventually, it'll just be a trend and it'll die out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they put out as a trend, then if the studios don't switch out of them, and if like you get multiple Suicide Squads and Green Lanterns, like 2 or 3 of them in a row, then that studio will just go bankrupt. I mean, Fox was bought out by Disney. I mean, that's what will happen. They'll just buy out the company and just take its IPs over, and then eventually it'll just be like Disney, right? But
right. Yeah, that's another thing. It's just that's going to become a natural monopoly. Also, Disney, like, it doesn't matter what Disney does, they're just going to be fine. Because Disney made like a stream of just shitty failures, like The Lone Ranger, and what was that other stuff?
they did Princess of Mars.
Oh, John Carter.
Yeah,
that was such a fuck. Or do you like Princess of Mars?
I've been reading the Gore series, the first Gore book. I like
that different.
Genre. No, it's a ripoff of Princess of Mars, but it's just like
for I really hate it.
I'm going to read it eventually. I like the idea of a fantasy world but you take a normal person into that fantasy world and set on it. Like I like planetary romance. I really like that. I haven't read through the original Princess of Mars, and I haven't seen John Carter the movie though. I'm interested in that.
I hated the movie and I hated the book more. Did you guys like the Detroit game where you play a Choco mulatto robot? I don't have a PS4, so I can't play that, unfortunately. I'm getting a Switch though soon, probably. So I'm kind of excited to see what that's like. Because mainly just because I have to commute quite a ways on a daily basis, so that's going to be nice to have. But there's some other stuff coming out, like the next Fire Emblem game, the next Shin Megami Tensei, stuff like that. Let's see here. Yeah. Then does the Smash Bros. Even count as a fighting game?
Why wouldn't it be a fighting game? It's just a very simple mechanic fighting game.
Yeah, it's almost it's weird.
It goes into like it's just one step below Mugen at this point with how many characters it has.
Yeah.
It's just the basis of the game is like diverse. It's definitely a fighting game, but it's a very simple fighting game.
It's kind of a variety game. I don't know how else to.
I don't know. I always thought it was kind of boring compared to other fighting games. It's just kind of like this party game that I play with people. And I just like being like I like the Persona fighting games a lot more, and I like the new Dragon Ball's Fighters, and I really like I'm actually a big fighting game fan. I really like Soul Calibur way more than I ever like Smash Brothers. But
thanks for reminding me. I got to Are
you gonna get Soul Cal 6?
I need to at some point.
Dude, it's pretty good. You'd have to ask my friend in IRL that I play fighting games with.
Yeah.
He could give you a better review than I could because I only played it with him at one time. So the problem with PlayStation is that Sony changes its IPs every generation. They don't have a consistent franchise like Mario or Zelda. I think
Does Sony have first party IPs? I guess they do. They just don't make them.
I thought what they do is they get people they sign contracts where people make second party IPs.
Oh,
and that's
I appreciate that. New Guilty Gear version when also McDonald's Fund.
No, but okay, I want to go back. So Crash Bandicoot was like the symbol of the PlayStation 1. And then like Jak and Daxter was a symbol of the PlayStation 2. And then
those are platformers, those aka Satan.
What?
They're Satan though because they're fucking platformers.
You don't like platformers?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, wasn't it like what's the third?
No, I'm saying that Spyro.
Spyro was again.
Jak and Dexter, Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank, yeah. What was the one
those are all platformers, so they can't make them. They can't make sequels because platformers.
Oh yeah, that's why that happened. There you go. That's why, because only Sonic and Mario are the only platformers that people will play now. So there you go. There's the answer. So they changed it because you can't play
Shovel Knight.
What? Oh well, Shovel Knight's indie, so that's kind of the problem with this conversation.
Right.
Super Meat Boy and Shovel Knight and the AVGN game. Yeah, those are great platformers, but they're kind of indie. They tried to bring back Mega Man as a platformer. And then there is the botched attempts at Banjo-Kazooie and what was it? Mighty Number 9 or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
New Guilty Gear version? I don't. Oh, I've never played Gear. No, Guilty Gear is really fun. I don't know what he's talking about though. Do you ever play Guilty Gear?
No, I have no idea what Guilty Gear is.
I have to ask my IRL friend in real. It's a Japanese fighting game where it's 2D and it's like shading to where it looks like anime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I played like Arcana. Like this is like autism hours right now. Like Arcana Hearts is pretty good.
Sorry, what is?
Arcana Hearts.
Oh, I thought you were saying Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, well, Arcana Hearts is like an all-girl fighting game. There's a lot of like anime fighting games that aren't very big here that they make in Japan, which are like low budget, like Persona 4 Arena, Guilty Gear, Arcana Heart. I really like to play those games. Like unironically, like what is it? Like Skullgirls, but that's like an indie game. Like cell shading fighting games is kind of like a genre that's going.
Yeah, I hate how they won't do cell shading stuff because I really like cell shading.
Well, Japan does cell shading fighting games are great.
Mm-hmm.
Blaze Blue again, that's a great game.
Right.
I'm showing off my like fighting credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Is Donkey Kong a done genre or a done series?
They release like shitty spin-offs.
Oh.
Like just nothing like substantial though.
Yeah, Skullgirls is American, but it's a cell shaded fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to play Fallout 1. I tried. I got raped.
I admit I'm that like millennial guy, and just Fallout 1's just too kind of primitive for me.
Oh, do you like Doom 1?
It's just hard for me to go back.
You can't even play Doom 1? What are you fucking...
No, Doom 1 is okay. I was never big on like FPS back in the day.
Oh, I like FPS. Like after Call of Duty 4, FPS is garbage, but like the like Half-Life and the original Doom and like 30-Year-Old Boomer Time. That's some good shit right there. Like the first few Halo 1, that is a game. That is like one of the best single player games I think ever.
Halo 1 was probably like the game I was the most impressed with that I've ever played.
Yeah, I remember when
I first played it, I just like sat there staring at the screen like, what the fuck is this?
you should like change this to 30-Year-Old Boomer real hours. Real 30-Year-Old Boomer hours.
God, I'm almost 30 now.
Ugh.
Well,
you don't even have
a couple of years. Yeah, well, I have a career, at least.
Wow.
Which is better than.
Why was somebody talking about Panzer Dragoon? That's like dead as fuck. Oh, wait, they tried Crimson. I didn't know Crimson Dragon was a thing. I guess it got horrible reviews though.
Panzer Dragoon.
Hey,
I think they're bringing Panzer Dragoon back. Actually,
wait, they are.
I think they might hurt something
for them to do that. Anyway, so Panzer Dragoon Saga, isn't Panzer Dragoon Saga on like Saturn like fucking like $400 or something insane?
Something like that. The Saturn I think was shit. I'm sorry.
I never even played. I haven't played to this day. I have not played a Saturn.
The whatchamacallit is really bad.
I want to play like Resident Evil 1 on a Saturn. I saw the Happy Video Game Nerd do like a Let's Play of that once, and it was like weird. This is really. I think all the games have really long load times too. Saturn's just like. I mean, I'm a. I don't know if you guys picked up on this. I'm a Dreamcast fan, so. But I never even played a Saturn. Yeah, oh my god, Dreamcast is so good.
I didn't really like the controller.
It has a bad controller. Except for I love the little like thing where it like the little like dancing like kawaii shit. The Dreamcast is the most Japanese thing that ever happened in the history of the world. I mean, the Dreamcast is so Japanese that it's both in Gamera 3 and Neon Genesis Evangelion. That's how fucking Japanese it is.
Yeah.
No, the Dreamcast, as far as density of games, it has the superior version of all the PS2, PS1 games, and it has like oh my god, there is so many fucking great Dreamcast like survival horror games that are never ported, like Ill Bleed and like D2 and all that shit. Oh my god, yeah, Guilty Spark. Oh god, yeah, people are like basting me. I'm on fire now because the Dreamcast is the shit. It's the only one that had like Soul Calibur 1 on it. Soul Calibur 1 is like the best game too. Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi. It's like
they released a lot of it onto the GameCube.
Yeah, they eventually did. They released Sonic Adventure and stuff like that. It's a really it's a fucking really good game, and it's not even that hard to play. Is like the game on the Dreamcast where it's the mice. The puzzle game is the party puzzle game with 4 people, and then you put the directional pads with the mice. I can't remember what it's called. That game is so good.
Okay, Skies of Arcadia Legends is $180.
Yes. Have they made good emulators for for Dreamcast and Saturn yet?
I don't know. There's a good one for GameCube.
Yeah, Dolphin.
Yeah.
Project 64 is really good, and Dolphin is really good. But have they made a Saturn one or a Dreamcast one?
I don't know if they have.
The thing with Dreamcast is it never created a lockout. So if you use like a Game Shark disc, you can just burn off games on the CDs. It ruins your laser. Choo Choo Rocket, Choo Choo Rocket. It's so good. I love that game. Anyway. Real autism hours. Anyway, yeah, the thing with the Dreamcast is I have like one real Dreamcast game. What we did is we just bought used Dreamcast, me and a very close friend, me and Argent both know that I have IRL is that we just get like Game Shark discs and then we just burned off every single Dreamcast game onto CDs and play them. So I played through like almost every Dreamcast game. Well, I tried it, but
yeah, it always irritates me when I can't buy things legally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because back when I didn't have any money, I would pirate stuff to be cheap. But now I normally, if I pirate stuff, it's because I can't get it legally or I just want to try it out because they don't have demos anymore. But yeah, like, because a lot of stuff, like, if you want to play any of the Fire Emblem games, you have to pirate them because they just aren't available. Because Nintendo never re-releases stuff, so it's like super expensive.
Yeah. Should we start wrapping up, or do you want to just
Sure.
freaking 30-year-old boomer posting?
No, we can start wrapping up.
Does anybody want us to answer questions, or should we do that, or just wrap?
I don't know. Does anybody have any questions?
I think we've been answering questions throughout the whole thing. It doesn't seem like we're being showered with them. Maybe we should wait like 2 minutes.
I'll wait 2 minutes. I'm just fighting a boss in Neo, so.
Did you ever have a Dreamcast?
No.
Oh. I don't think Argent can share his job. It's kind of doxing.
Yeah, no, I don't say what I do for a living.
So what systems do I have? I have a Nintendo that never worked very good. I have a Super Nintendo. I have a Genesis. I get all these at like garage sales and pawn shops, so I don't spend as much as you would think if I bought it off eBay. Genesis, N64, PS1 through PS3, Genesis, N64, GameCube, Wii. I didn't buy Wii, Xbox 360, Dreamcast, and then I don't even plug in my Genesis and N6 and Super Nintendo and that stuff anymore. I just all play like I have a DS and a Game Boy Advance. I just play like Game Boy Advance. I just play that all on RetroPie. I really like the RetroPie.
Yeah, you have one of those.
Dude, you should get one. You can plug in any PS3 or Xbox 360 controller, and you can have every single Game Boy game, every single Game Boy Advance, every single Game Boy Color, every single Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis Master System, so on and so like. And you can get PlayStation. I haven't played through PlayStation 1 games on it. It's kind of like you start like straight up like breaking the law pretty hard, I think, when you get into like fucking around with ISOs and stuff on there. But I haven't done that. They're trying to put the Dolphin on it, I think. It's not strong enough to play a Dolphin. I mean, maybe in like 5 years they'll be able to have a RetroPie that'll have Dolphin on it, and it'll actually run. Like people are trying to get Dreamcast on it, but it doesn't work. The N64 doesn't work very well either.
The GBA is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, it has every GBA game on there.
Yeah.
The thing is that when people talk about retro games, they always talk about Genesis and Super Nintendo. You really got to get into GBA if you like 2D platformers and 2D
RPGs.
Or RPGs, yeah. Because there is so many great games on the GBA.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I think that's good for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you, as always, for coming on, my intrepid co-host.
Thank you. Buy his book.
Thanks, man, for the shout out. Once, as always, Nazbol Gang's channel is below, and have a good night, everybody.